They call themselves architects, and they call God the great architect. But then again, that ain't a lie. God is the great architect. That's true. But the God they talking about ain't the God of this Bible. They talking about Satan when they say the great architect. Because they worship a man who worships Satan. They worship Baal, the sun god. Even their temples are set up and built to face the rising sun. People don't know this stuff. But look what Paul said, I am a master builder. Y'all know good and well that sounds like Masonic large language. But it's right here in the Bible. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 2. Oh, I can't believe it. They claim to be Masons. We sure are. Yes, I am a Mason. Everybody who believes in Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ is our master Mason. He's the master builder. And he wants us to be master builders. That's why Paul said, as a master builder, I have laid the foundation. And that foundation was Jesus Christ. The truth. There you go. Ephesians 2 and verse 12. Look at this language that he's using. Ephesians 2 and verse 12. This is Paul talking to the Gentiles. Go ahead and read.
That at that time you were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers from the covenant of promise, having no hope and without God in the world.
You were, at that time, aliens without the master builder, Christ. And he's the master builder in more ways than one. He didn't just build this spiritual temple that is the church. He wasn't just a literal mason as trade. He also created the whole world. Now that's an architect for you right there. That is our great architect, Jesus Christ. Go ahead and read.
But now is Christ Jesus, but now in Christ Jesus, ye who sometime were afar off are made nigh by the blood of Christ.
Now the Gentiles, the non-Hebrews, who are afar off are made near by the blood of Christ. Now skip down to verse 19 and read.
Now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the household of God.
You are fellow citizens with the saints and of the household of God. Let's see what this household is built on. What's the foundation? Go ahead and read.
And are built upon.
We are built upon, well, that Masonic language again. Go ahead.
The foundation of the apostles and prophets.
Where do you find the apostles at? What part of the Bible is the apostles in?
New Testament.
Where do you find the prophets in?
No.
Go ahead. So your doctrine, your way of life, has to be built on the foundation of the New Testament, the Old Testament, and what else?
Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone.
Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone. In order for you to achieve absolute truth, you have to believe the Old Testament, the New Testament, and believe in the Messiah. That's the true foundation of absolute Bible truth, and nobody can knock it. That's what we built on. That's what you're supposed to be built on. You're not only supposed to be a mason building stones. You are also supposed to be one of the stones in this spiritual temple, holding the temple up. That's what people don't understand. And God don't need any weak stones because they're going to make the temple fall. Right. That's what people don't understand. That's why I'm so adamant about brothers who are strong in this thing, not easily swayed by women or material gain. That's a weak stone. That's a weak pillar. We're going to deal with that too. The pillars. Right? But let's move on. Let's go to Exodus 24. You need strong people, men and women. Got to be strong. Got to be a rock. He said, as lively stones. That's what he said, right? Exodus 24. Let's read about Moses. Let me show y'all that Moses was a mason. Spiritually and literally. Exodus 24 and verse 3. 24 and 3. Go ahead and read.
And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the word which the Lord hath said we will do.
He said, all the word which the Lord hath said we will do. Go ahead and read.
And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord and rose up early in the morning and built an altar under the hill.
Hold on, he did what?
Built an altar.
What are altars made out of?
Stone.
Stone. Some were made out of wood, but there was a law in the Torah that said you couldn't do it that way. It said he built the altar. Altars made out of stone. A mason is somebody who works or builds with stone. So what was Moses? He was a mason. But I'm going to show you the spirituality behind him being a spiritual mason too. Go ahead and keep reading.
And 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel.
He built 12 pillars on this altar that represented the 12 tribes of Israel. That's the spiritualness behind it, or the symbology behind it. These pillars represented Israel. In other words, all the 12 tribes collectively, symbolically, was supposed to hold this altar up. Moses was a mason. He made a stone altar with stone pillars, and each one of these pillars represented a tribe of Israel. That's symbology right there, people. And masons, the satanic ones, they thrive on symbology. They real big on that. They use a lot of symbology. They use a lot of signs and signals. They use, especially though, a lot of secrecy. A lot of secrecy. The masons, the evil ones, keeping everything secret. Jesus Christ, the good mason, tells us, everything I told you in secret, shout from the rooftops. Say it in the open. They are the opposite. The Freemasons, the satanic ones, they keeping everything a secret. The godly mason, Jesus Christ, he said, whatever I tell you in secret, reveal to the world. You see the difference? But Moses built these 12 pillars, representing the 12 tribes of Israel. I took you here to show you that whenever somebody built something, sometimes, those pillars or those stones represented something. In this case, the 12 tribes of Israel. They were supposed to be stone pillars. In other words, unshakable, steady, unmovable. That's what they were supposed to be. But they weren't. Let's keep moving. Let's go to 1 Kings. Let's read about Solomon's temple. And the guy who built Solomon's temple. Because the Masons love to go here. Yeah, we're going to deal with that. I wonder if they're going to talk about Solomon's temple. We sure are. 1 Kings 7 and 13. I proudly proclaim to be a Mason. I sure am. Because I'm building every time I come on Pal Talk. And on YouTube. You're supposed to be building too. On the foundation, Jesus Christ. You're supposed to be a spiritual Mason. I'm going to show you why, in the end, you're supposed to be a Freemason. Because the term Freemason they use, the word free in that name, has nothing to do with the English word free. But I'm going to show you something here. 1 Kings 7, 13. Go ahead and read, big baby.
And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre. He was a widowed son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre.
Now, his father was a man of Tyre. He was a half Hebrew, in other words. His mother was a Hebrew, but his father was of Tyre. But let's see what it says about his father. Go ahead.
A worker in brass.
A worker in brass. What do you mean his father was?
Mason.
A mason. That's what his father was. Go ahead.
And he was filled with wisdom and understanding and cunning to work all works in brass. And he came to King Solomon and wrought all his works.
So he came to King Solomon and he wrought all his works. This guy right here was a skilled master mason, Hiram, right? But now, skip down to verse 21. Now let's see what this guy did when he built this temple. Go ahead.
And he set up the pillars in the porch of the temple.
He set up the what?
The pillars.
The pillars, just like Moses did, right? Go ahead.
And he set up the right pillar and called the name thereof Jachin. And he set up the left pillar and called the name thereof Boaz.
Wait a minute. Why is he naming these pillars? The Bible never tells you specifically why he named these pillars Jachin and Boaz. But when you read other scriptures, you know that whenever somebody named a pillar, it represented somebody who they named it after her. Right? Just like the 12 pillars that Moses made when he built the altar representing the 12 tribes of Israel. It's symbology there. That's my point. Hidden meaning there. So whoever these two guys were, because these are names, by the way, whoever these two guys were, they were represented in Hiram's pillars in Solomon's temple. You follow what I'm saying? You are supposed to be a pillar. But notice what it said about this guy when you go back. It says in verse 14, he was a widowed son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre, a worker in brass, and he was filled with wisdom and understanding. Notice it's relating this man being a master mason to wisdom. Did you notice that? Don't the Bible say Jesus was wise? Don't the Bible say that we're supposed to be wise? Let me show you something. Let's go to Proverbs 9 and verse 1. One verse. Watch what it says about wisdom. All this stuff with the pillars, all of this is symbolic. Masons, the satanic Freemasons, they understand this. Because all they look for is symbology in the Bible. That's all they look for. And they understand a lot. We're supposed to be better than them. It's time for Christians to stop being the most ignorant when it comes to the Bible. It's time for that to stop. Proverbs 9 and 1. Just that one verse. Go ahead and read.
Wisdom have built her house.
Wisdom has builded her house. Who are the people that build? What do we call them?
Masons.
Masons. So you either say the spiritual, you know this is not literal, this is spiritual. Spiritual masons have built the house, and what is it built on? Go ahead.
She have hewn out her 7 pillars.
She have hewn out her 7 what?
Pillars.
What do pillars supposed to do? Hold up the house. That's what he wants us to be. He wants us to be spiritual pillars holding up his spiritual house. And a weak pillar will make a house fall. You can't have a weak pillar because it has to hold up the house. And guess what? What happens to people who are in a house when the pillars fall? They get crushed and die. So when the spiritual house falls because of a weak pillar, the spiritual house dies. Spiritually, the people. This is what people don't understand. It said wisdom have hewn out her 7 pillars. Your wisdom is supposed to be on these spiritual 7 pillars. Held up, firm, unmovable, unshakable. That's what type of master mason you're supposed to be striving to be. You're supposed to be striving to be a master mason. Not just a mason, a master mason. That's what Paul said, as a master builder. Did he say that? He said just as a builder, he said as a master builder. Let's move on. Let's go to Galatians chapter 2 and verse 8. And let me show you what Paul said right here. All this symbology about building and foundations and stones and pillars all come from Jesus Christ. And you can't see that he was a mason? Come on. Literally and spiritually, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why the disciples are talking like this. That's why the disciples are using this language. Because they were spiritual masons too. They were Freemasons. Galatians 2 and verse 8. Go ahead and read.
For he that wrought effectually in Peter to the apostleship of the circumcision.
He said, for he that wrought, which means work, effectually in Peter to the apostleship of the circumcision. In other words, Jesus Christ sent Peter to Hebrew Israelites to preach the gospel to them. Go ahead and read.
The same was mighty in me toward the Gentiles.
The same was mighty in me toward the Gentiles, the non-Hebrews. But watch what Paul calls Peter, James, and John. Go ahead and read.
And when James, Cephas,
which is Peter, go ahead,
and John, who seemed to be pillars, perceived the grace that was given unto me.
We were perceived to be what?
Pillars.
He called them what?
Pillars.
Why did he call them pillars? Why did you know this Masonic language? He called them pillars because they were holding up the ministry. Mm-hmm. All of this right here in the Bible. All this Masonic language, your Lord and Savior was a Mason, literally and spiritually, but when we say we Mason, you looking at us like we crazy. All this Masonic language they using, they call themselves Masons, all of the whole 9, but when we say we Masons, ooh, they worship the devil. So did Jesus worship the devil? Did the apostle worship the devil? Why did you know this Masonic language then, if they were not Masons?